Hello, beautiful stars. Courtney here with Stars of the Morning Light. And this is the Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time message that is normally live, but I am on a plane right now. So everyone send me lovely positive energy because I'm not the best traveler. Let's say that. I don't like leaving my home. So thank you for all being here. If you are new here, welcome to Stars and Morning Light. We are a lovely community of those who are seeking, learning, and practicing compassion. Today's message, the final act, judgment versus discernment, 3D versus 7D, is also a part of two playlists, the third dimensional consciousness playlist and or the power of healing and love playlist. A lot of the videos within those two playlists, they're in the same categories and playlists because they all relate to one another. Today's message will also piggyback off of the Edgar Casey Life Skills Studies episode that was released this past Wednesday, March 5th, towards the very end when he speaks about Armageddon. There was a whole lot about Atlantis in that episode. So I will reread the couple of paragraphs from that Edgar Casey to bring it into the why for this message today. But this is the final act, judgment versus discernment. Two different things. We have been covering them in either playlist that you want to go and explore. Why is it so hard to obtain this concept of ascension or higher consciousness, fifth dimensional sustaining consciousness of compassion, into seventh dimensional consciousness? And what is that all about? Why is it so hard to release ourselves from the third dimensional consciousness living in density? 3D is very dense. The entrapment, as people would like to describe it as. And after I got done doing the episode of Dagger Casey that we're going to piggyback off of a bit, and thinking about this episode, a song came into my head. So for those who have been here for a while, this is a little fun fact about me. A little what people would not suspect is kind of a guilty pleasure. The debut album of Matchbox 20, Yourself or Someone Like You, is kind of a guilty pleasure for me. Many would not suspect that. But Rob Thomas, lyrically, a genius. So as I'm thinking about this episode that we're about to get into all these juicy parts about 3D versus 7D, judgment versus discernment, the final act, the Armageddon aspect that Casey was talking about, all of it. And all the weeks that have been leading up to this, I've been doing videos for at least 5 weeks that are preparing for this. And a song popped into my head. The beautiful song, Back to Good. That's the title of it. These are some of the lyrics. So I am completely crediting Matchbox 20 and Rob Thomas's beautiful lyrical self. He was a lovely lyricist. So these are just some of the lyrics. Because everyone here hates everyone here for doing just like they do. And it's best if we all keep this quiet instead. And I can't tell why everyone here was doing me like they do. But I'm sorry now, and I don't know how to get it back to good. While everyone here is wondering what it's like to be with somebody else, and everyone here is to blame. And everyone here gets caught up in the pleasure of the pain. Everyone, while everyone here hides shades of shame. Yeah, but looking inside, we're the same. We're the same and we're all grown now. Yeah, but we don't know how to get it back to good. I don't know how that man wrote that. It's amazing. And that is the answer. That is the answer. That is the difficulty, the trickiness of all of this. We become partners in pain. We actually find all the pleasure in all the pain of 3D. We don't know how to get it back to good. And it's not just one particular group. It's not just you. It's not just me. We're all the same. We're all the same. Mm, it beautiful lyrics. So how do we get it back to good? How do we relieve ourselves of this 3D density living consciousness with all the dogmas and all the karmas and all that we go through as a living being here? I love how folks want to say that they are spiritual beings living a human experience. It is true, but isn't it time to start flipping that? That I am a human living a spiritual experience? Right? What if we just flip that on its head? So, yeah, we're going to be getting into it, folks. Happy Friday. Good to be with you, stars. You are beautiful and you are deserving and you shine. You are a human living a spiritual experience, not a spiritual being living a human experience. See where that takes you. So, on the episode of Edgar Casey Life Skill Studies, I believe it was number 57, and that was aired this past Wednesday night. It ended with us finishing chapter 8 and this quick little final notice about Armageddon. And by the time I got through all that episode and that was the ending, I was like, woo, this is such a bigger topic to explore. And I think it might fascinate those who don't listen to Edgar Casey Life Skill Studies, but who might be here. So this is page 139 of Edgar Casey on Reincarnation. The final Armageddon, said Casey, was not will not be fought on Earth. It will be fought between the souls leaving the Earth and the souls endeavoring to return to it. The souls returning to the God they once deserted, and the lost souls who hope to reject him into eternity, but holding fast to all costs to this failing planet. In terms of Orthodox dogma, it will be a war fought between the dead, not between the living. But Edgar Casey makes no differentiation between the dead and the living than he does between the caterpillar, the cocoon, and the butterfly. Thus, the souls involved in the final Armageddon will be the same souls they always were from the beginning. Nothing will have changed except the plane of consciousness they occupy. They will only have moved from confines of matter to the ethereal plane of their origin. Take that in, folks. Take that in, please. What is Armageddon? If you Googled it, right? Let's just go with the standard definition that everybody can look up themselves. It will say an impending cal cataclysm struggle between the forces of good and evil. So, cataclysm. Well, then we can call that the ending of a cycle, usually. Usually. Something big and catastrophic and a huge ending. There's always an ending and a beginning, right? Some form of Armageddon. And do note that it was written the final Armageddon. So how many have there been, right, folks? How many cycles have we gone through a ending and a beginning? A lot of this was discussed in that Edgar Casey video. And this we all know from Revelations. So what does revelation mean? Because usually when people talk about Armageddon, they're also going to talk about revelation. Revelation is the unveiling, right? In some kind of dramatic way. So the unveiling, the eye awakening, whoa, dramatic, dark night of the soul that wakes you up, and that you are a spiritual being living a human experience. We're going to flip it around, right? I have to say, beloveds, that all of you beautiful chosen ones, which also means revealer of God's secrets, you're part of that final little battle that was clearly stated. It's not happening here. It's not happening here. But do we work out the energies here? Yes. Yes. And we do so in 3D consciousness living that is smothered, that is so dense, that is suffocating within judgment. That is what is suffocating us. 3D. It's beautiful that Casey then. The terms of the Orthodox dogma will have a war fought between the dead, not between the living. But Edgar Casey makes no more differential between the dead and the living than he does between a caterpillar, a cocoon, the cocoon, and the butterfly. 3D is the me, selfish, 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 take, 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 take. Caterpillar, caterpillar. Caterpillar that just devours as much as it can, devours and eats. I mean, y'all know what I'm talking about. You ever have a plant that's beautiful and luscious, and then within a night, you walk outside and whoa, it's barely alive anymore because a caterpillar just ate it and ate it and ate it. Me, fat, 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 right? We've been doing that in third dimensional consciousness living, selfishness, for a very long time, over and over and over again. But then many of us now had some kind of revelation that opened us up to seeing more of the 3D judgment and consumption and the me. And usually then we retreat into our cocoon. We don't know how to handle the 3D. That is where we become seekers of the truth, quote unquote. This is where we learn and grow and develop and heal and change. The cocoon. So then who is the butterfly? The one who is not timid to leave the cocoon after all of its beautiful development and and says, I can actually serve others now instead of devouring the plant. I can fly around and help harvest and help pollinate instead of take. I can help the production of things in a lovely way instead of taking. Oh my goodness. Beautiful butterflies. It was written there that Armageddon is going to be within those who are dead. In representation of those, because prior to that, we were talking a lot about those who were of Atlantis and the corruption of Atlantis and how that influence is actually still very present here. I was in the Edgar Casey video. I do encourage you to go watch it. Number 57. There are many who chose to come to be the rescue souls, to help this earth, for the earth's sake and all the human sakes. And they just lost their way through forgetfulness, through the density of judgment. They have lost their way, but they're starting to wake up. And once they wake up, it's like, whoo, retreat to my cocoon, make my environment very small. Many who are still in that. And then there are others that still love to exploit and take, right? Very big differences in the duality because it's attached to the 3D earth living, all the hermetics. Oh, we're going to get into the consciousness chart, folks, into all the hermetics that keep us binded to this earth based on conscious levels, based on duality, polarity, rhythm and flow. That's all 3D and 5. Lots of fifth dimensional living. So in this episode, whatever stage you're at, caterpillar, cocoon, butterfly, regardless of what stage, it's the release of judgment that is what is needed to release yourself from third dimensional consciousness living. So whatever stage. So before you reincarnated up there, wherever, the ethereal, whatever planet, wherever you were hanging out, making all your life plans, connecting with folks for your soul contracts, right? All of that planning and organizing, somewhere in the midst of that was that final act of the Armageddon aspect. Because a cycle is going to be ending. And we are choosing how it will. It doesn't always have to be catastrophic. It doesn't. It truly doesn't. We can have an ending and a beginning that is much smoother than blowing ourselves up or a great flood, what have you, because there's been a few. You were choosing kind of what side of this fight, right? The good and evil, the Star Wars, all of it. You were kind of choosing what side are you on? And there were others choosing I love brutality and selfishness and corruption and consumption. There's a lot of them, a lot of them. And then there might be those now that are here that went, no, no, no. I want to play it out for the betterment of all. I'm here to actually rescue and help because that was your original purpose. So your original purpose is still your purpose. Always has been. You just forgot about it. With that being said, all of that, all of that, beloveds, if the decisions are being made elsewhere, and that is where the true battle is, because that's where you make the decisions that you play out here. And then we have to live all that stuff out. We live out how we're all connected. We live out the fears and the anxieties and the doubts. We live out the pains and the loves and the triumphs and the sorrows. We live it all out. Third dimensional living. Everything in it is designed for you to choose yourself and not in the me, I'm consuming caterpillar, but choose yourself to go into the cocoon, heal, learn, grow, so then you can be the butterfly that helps, that helps to pollinate the good word. Nothing will have changed except the plane of consciousness they occupy. They will only have moved from the confines of matter to the ethereal plane of their origin. They will only have moved from the confines of their matter to the ethereal plane of their origin. Nothing will have changed. Nothing will have changed. 3D, Earth, all of it, it's still the same. And if you ask me, it is. Nothing has changed. People are people every century, every century. They're doing the same thing. Nothing will have changed except the plane of consciousness they occupy. 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 Hmm. So we actually occupy a plane of consciousness? That's what Edgar says. Brilliant, wonderful man. Brilliant, wonderful man. So let's leave Edgar over here for a moment. And let's look at the levels of consciousness charts as we look at it often here at Stars of Morning Light. And this is a perfect time to leave a comment or um, do a thumbs up for me, whatever you would like to do. All right, beloveds, I hope you are seeing this chart. I truly am hoping so, because I didn't set this up all that well when I was here before. So, we know, as I kind of scroll down a bit, or I'm trying to come into frame here. All right, third dimensional living. Oh my goodness, this is what we all experience over and over and over again. All the thousand lives that you have lived. Periodically, you have a nice casual one that not much happens and you're doing okay with, right? But this on the general, this is what we experience. And this does go down to death, shame, guilt, apathy, grief, fear, desire, anger, pride. That pride is us versus them, right? Because it'll say demanding over here. We get a lot of that in this world, don't we? Into courage, neutrality, willingness. So we're moving into the fourth dimension. I am not going to be going through this as much as I have on previous videos. I will link a video that I go through this extensively for you so you can use that and see that later. What I do want to go into, so the fourth dimension, by the way, is your choices. Your choices to start developing consciousness. Just become conscious of who you are, your relation to others, all sorts of things. Neutrality, willingness, acceptance, into inner light and reason. I'm going to try to bring this down some. There we go. All right. We are moving back up. And do know, beloveds, that this is, if you are new here, this is the levels of consciousness chart created by David Hawkins. Notice how there is fear or love that is spoken here all the time. Once again, I do have a video that I go through this extensively. I am trying to get from fourth dimension all the way up to here, which is, let me bring this down a bit more. See if I can. There we go. Okay, so let's say we have some inner light. Oh, this keeps moving. All right. Inner light and reason at 400 frequency. Thank you. Good. That's understanding. Awesome. New human consciousness. That would be that revelation, that unveiling in different dramatic ways, that the result becomes inner wisdom, inner love, reverence, inner love, frequency of 500. Higher mind is over here, paradise. Whoa, the location is paradise, people. It could be here because nothing changes. Nothing changes. Not in location, it's the consciousness they occupy. So, fifth dimensional living experience that so many are trying to obtain. And you can. That's what a lot of these playlists are about. Bliss, perfect, perfect peace, blissful presence. This is obtainable. I am going to work my way up to non-duality. 670, awareness, 700. Here's the deal, folks. So many people in this world, they really are striving for fifth dimensional consciousness living on a sustainable basis. I love it. Please do so. Keep working on it. The third, the third, the fourth, new humanity consciousness, that interplay of kind of bouncing back and forth. Into the fifth, I will tell you, those are all still very much within Hermetic principles. Rhythm, flow, duality, polarity, they are all still present. Very difficult to continuously, consciously practice compassion for self and others when there's these things, these judgments that we see every day. But go into this I am presence. I am presence. That is your seventh and higher. This is your seventh, okay? I am presence. That is the Christ consciousness. That is when you feed 5,000 people with two fish. That is when you're like the Buddha and you say, just cross the river, just go on over. Why? How does that happen? You take away the non-duality. You step outside of hermetics. You gain the full awareness that it starts to funnel through from full consciousness at 1,000. I wonder if I can blow this up even more. All right, people. 12th dimensional living. That when you can get to the I am presence, this flows downward. 12th dimensional, full consciousness at 1,000 frequency, divine grace and love, the great void, awareness. This is awareness itself. We're going to come back to this at the end. 700 frequency. I am presence, non-duality. This all here is outside of hermetics. This is, it is. It is the great it is. I am presence. I am the great I am. I have all the authority through my awareness that if I need to feed 5,000 people with 2 fish, because I have all this going for me, and the bliss, the perfect peace, presence, and joy and love. I have all of this because this is the foundation of 5 to move into 7 and obtain the true awareness of it is. Abracadabra, it is. I am presence. Well, then you just feed 5,000 people with 2 fish. You just multiply those fish. You just say, here you go. On this plane of earth, in a human body of form. Because the only thing that changes is where their consciousness occupies. Well, does your consciousness occupy the I am presence, heaven on earth, enlightenment, pure consciousness? Are you connected to your overmind, your oversoul, your full higher self that knows of all of this? Completely connected? Hmm. Disappearance of material desires. Purposes effortlessly supported. Do you have a disappearance of material desires? Or are you a caterpillar? And that can even happen in the cocoon, folks. That can even happen within the cocoon. Seek, seek, seek the truth. Truth of what? Third dimensional consciousness living? It's the same old story every day. It's the same old, same old. It hasn't changed in eons. We're seeking the truth of what we already know. I love it. I love it. You gotta laugh. You gotta have fun. This place is amazing. So take that in, beautifuls. Take that in. 3D consciousness, fifth dimensional consciousness, seventh dimensional consciousness, the I am presence, the true Christos that everybody is trying to strive for. Hmm. Revelation into ascension, awareness itself, consciousness itself, full consciousness itself. I am presence. So I said 3D is full of judgment. And this video is about judgment. It is. Because that is what will help, or that is, well, that is what will help you sustain third dimensional consciousness living and is what is needed to be released to move forward, to ascend, to expand, to whatnot. So what is discernment versus judgment? Discernment. Now with all your new eyes that have been opened and you're in your cocoon and you're staring out there going, what is going on? I don't know about this world. I don't know, right? Discernment is saying, okay, that's for them. I accept, I accept who they are, what they do. I accept the organizations, the politicians, the tyrants, the people that love and the people that don't love. Okay, they're there. They're all around. It's not for me. That's discernment. It's saying that, okay, I'm not in agreement with. I accept that's how you live. I accept that that's what you think. I accept that that's what's going on, that it is. Just not for me. I'm gonna do something over here. I'm gonna go over yonder and do something different. That's discernment. Being able to identify what is for you and what is not for you. With having no attachments to the material aspects, to the social aspects, truly only deciding what is best for you. Hence why 3D consciousness living based in judgment, so hold on to that, is all designed, all designed for you to choose yourself in the form of discernment. Okay, you do you. You do you, but I'm going to go on over here and do this because that's what's for me. Or maybe what is going on over yonder is for you. You travel that way and you go, wow, this is where I feel good. I'm learning, I'm growing, I'm healing, I'm developing. I want to bust out of my cocoon soon. Discernment. Judgment, though. Judgment is thick and heavy. Judgment is when we go, oh, that ain't for me. And you are completely wrong in doing so. Oh, that ain't for me. And I wish you well, talking about them behind their back. It is in all forms of how we communicate, how we think, how we operate in 3D, down to all of the documentation that you ever need for all this stuff that you ever want to do, down to all of our communication, as in they are greater than, they are lesser than, I am greater than, you are lesser than, I am lesser than, you are greater than, as in the way we grade all of our education, how we get promoted at work, all of the hierarchies and dogmas and social norms and this and that. Our 3D consciousness living through judgment tries to dictate right from wrong when, in all essence, I am presence. There does not need to be right or wrong. It does not exist because that is a form of duality. Go back to the chart in your mind. I just pulled it up. No such thing as right or wrong. No such thing as I should, I ought, I could do this. They should, they ought to, they could do this. None of that exists outside of fifth dimensional consciousness living. The fifth dimension, folks, so you really know because you just saw the chart. It is there for you to continuously practice compassion for self and others. And the more you practice the compassion of fifth dimensional living, the compassion for self and others, still using discernment as we lay down the judgment, just knowing what we need to do for ourselves to heal, grow, change, mostly cocoon. In doing so with that, then you can, can, the willingness has to be there, the participation has to be there. The more you practice compassion for self and others, the more that inner wisdom comes, the more that inner love comes, the more that peace and oneness and joy is experienced and known at the great height that it is, and it becomes sustainable, anchored into fifth dimensional living, that then that is the foundation. You've moved out of 3D, fears, insecurities, doubt, hesitation, greed. You've moved out of that and you're sustaining your energy at your high heart. Well, when you're sustaining your energy and the vibrations that you are releasing out of you, remember, consciousness is frequency and frequency is consciousness. When you are sustaining fifth dimensional living in your high heart because you have practiced compassion for self and others, laying down the judgments, even if it takes you a while to continuously practice and become more consciously aware of how much judgment is within you and everything else. And you lay it down and open to compassion. The more and more we practice that, then we begin to sustain that inner peace, that joy, that oneness, that bliss. That becomes the foundation, the high heart becomes the foundation then to support always being connected to the oversoul, the true high self, the I am presence, that all then funnels in and is supported at the high heart. You are now a butterfly. You are no longer here for yourself. You are no longer attached to material assets and even relational assets, to tell you the truth. You are not a part of the 3D consciousness living. You are the I am presence that is willing and able and open with full conscious awareness to help pollinate the glory that can be through ascension. The hardest part, because in the I am presence, all judgment has to go. Whoa. What do you think that we would have a Christ consciousness if he judged himself? If he judged a whole bunch of others? He didn't. He didn't. He might have disagreed. He might have disagreed. Discernment. But he was living through all the same kind of crap we're living through. It has never changed. It has never changed. The reason Christ talked so much about actually the human emotion, it was not actually, he did not talk as much about money as they like to say he did. But he did talk about money, but not to the contents that they like to say. That was a ploy. He talked about the human emotion, though, constantly. Because that's what gets us in our feels, in our judgments, in our insecurities, which is a judgment, in all of it, in our doubt, our hesitation, our fears, judgment, 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 judgment. He talked more about the human emotion. You know why? Because he was a human living a spiritual experience. And he knew, wow, human emotion is very hard to navigate. Human emotion attached to the judgment of 3D density is very difficult, very hard to override that, to get to that pure bliss and love. And it's the human emotion that even though all the outside circumstances have maybe changed over decades, thousands of years, eons, all of the outside influences, intimate influences, what have you, have all changed. The human emotion has not. Anger is anger. Fear is fear. Sorrow is sorrow. Grief is grief. Happiness is happiness. Joy is joy. That has never changed. That has been always from the beginning to now. Some feel it more extensively than others. Some have experienced more of a certain form of emotion than others, what have you. But that is the one consistent aspect of 3D that then interplays with the density of judgment. And there you go, folks. We haven't been released. We haven't released ourselves from 3D consciousness living. Okay, Courtney. Well, I can't just get rid of my emotions. It's part of being a human. Yeah, I get it. Wouldn't it be nice, though, to be able to sustain joy and peace and bliss opposed to grief, fear, anger? It is a choice. Fear, love. Fear, love. So we can't just denounce our human emotions because it is attached to our consciousness and subconsciousness. Knowledge plus experience equals understanding. The more we repeat that sequence of knowledge plus experience equals understanding, the more we obtain more, the more we obtain wisdom within that particular subject of experience. Experience also comes in with emotions. Every experience you have has some kind of emotion to it. So it's a part of it. If we could all just have knowledge and read a bunch of books to ascend and relieve ourselves from 3D, we would have already done it. It's the experience. It's the experience that people need. And those experiences are attached to our emotions. Okay. In those emotions, there are judgments. That's the thing that I want to focus on. We judge when we're happy. When that happiness is gone, we go, damn, I wonder when that's going to happen again. That was awesome. What a fun night. I wonder when I'm going to feel like that again. Why are we judging? When we're sad, when we're depressed, when we're angry. Judgments. Judgments. There was some form of judgment that had us feeling that way, and then we judge ourselves from feeling that way. Everything in 3D consciousness living is a form of judgment of yourself to others, and or yourself to the divine. Period. Period. So, let's practice more discernment. Because I can go on and on about this judgment, but it's you have to look at it, folks. You have to start. I love that people's eyes are opening up and we're in the grand awakening. But to many, that just represents, ooh, there's mystical things out there. Ooh, there's this over here. Ooh, the woo-woo. The woo-woo means absolutely nothing because you won't be able to obtain the actual development and the skills of it if you judge yourself in the meantime. There are no supermen who judge themselves. There are no superpowers that people can have if they keep telling themselves, I'm a spiritual being living in a human experience. That's a judgment. Nobody's going to experience the heights of the I am presence in this body of form if they judge themselves and others as in they are less than because they are human. No. So you are a human, beloveds, human who's living a spiritual experience. That really does change the way you see things. When you say you are a spiritual being living a human experience, hmm, well then that's a whole lot of limitations, I gotta tell you. That's a whole lot of 3D hermetic limitations, duality, polarity. You're only gonna get so far. Be a superhero because you've gone into the I am presence. Be a master because you have sustained fifth dimensional living think and consciousness that you are now experiencing seventh dimensional I am presence. I am the great I am. As Christ would say, I am the truth, the light, the way. Do as I do. Do as I do, right? How can we do as he did if we're judging ourselves at the same time, right? So, how do we move from judgment that is very much attached to the human experience emotion, right? And emotions are difficult. How do we move from experiencing that constantly into maybe practicing more discernment so we can start laying down the judgment? Like I said, discernment is seeing everything, being aware of everything, not being attached to it. Discernment is saying, you can do that. I'm going to come and over here and do this. Oh, I actually really like that. I think that is for me. But that over there, probably not so much for me. But we don't say it's wrong. We don't say it's bad. We don't say those people are horrible. How are you supposed to make that judgment? Right? You're not. Judgment. Third dimensional consciousness living density is nothing but judgment. Lay it down. Lay it down. Compassion for self and others. Use discernment instead of judgment. Oh, yeah, I don't really think I'm going to hang out with those people anymore. They can go do whatever they're going to do. They're cool. We're cool. Everybody's cool. We're groovy. Okay. I just saw that news report on the TV. Hmm, that's disappointing. Good thing that I'm not a part of experiencing such tragedy. My heart goes out with them in compassion and grace. But I'm going to be over here doing this. I'm going to be listening to some other stuff that helps me in my cocoon. Discernment. I'm going to listen and try to understand and follow and learn and grow with the things that are for me and not allow peer pressure, society pressure, media pressure, any pressure to derail me from what I'm focusing on my own development. It's about me, it ain't about you, right? That is how we can get to that. In last week's episode, I read to you what my teacher says. This is, if you don't know them, they are the official Shri and Kira channel here on YouTube. Um, this is from Master Lady Kira. Steadfast commitment. Steadfast commitment. That is in relation to when I say everything in 3D is designed for you to choose yourself. Steadfast commitment to you. What is right for you may not be right for others. And what is right for others may not be right for you. That's okay. They're neither right nor wrong. There is no such thing in higher consciousness frequency living. There is no duality, so start practicing it now. Steadfast commitment to self. Focused awareness. Focused awareness. That is when we don't get caught up in all the stories and the dramas and the dramatic chaos of the world. Focused awareness. This is me. This is what I'm doing. These are the goals I want to obtain. This is how I'm going to be in my cocoon. I'm going to create and heal and learn and grow. I'm in my cocoon with my focused awareness and complete trust. And complete trust that nothing's going to knock that cocoon down. Complete trust that you can completely observe everything and lay down the judgment of self and others as you're healing, growing, changing. But you can also utilize discernment for your growth, change, and healing. Beloved one, steadfast commitment, focused awareness, and complete trust are the framework that will support you to move forward in your alignment. Keep saying yes to you and watch your vision materialize. That is from Master Lady Kira down in Ecuador, Tosa Blue Mountain. So if Armageddon is happening amongst the dead, and we've all been dead at some point or another, we've all been dead many a times over. We've all will be dead again and alive again. If the battle between good and evil leading into some kind of cycle ending catastrophic event, if it's actually based on the dead, not the living, but yet we know that we plan so much of the living experience on when we're dead and vice versa. I mean, most people in 3D consciousness living, they are just trying to get to death and get out. And then when they're dead, they're just trying to get back. Well, ain't that interesting? Hmm, it's fascinating. Or vice versa. They're struggling with either or. It's in the decisions and the game plan and the strategies we create before we return in reincarnation. And then we get here. And because we are a human living a spiritual experience, trying to, trying to obtain a spiritual experience, trying to get to being that superhuman, trying to remember who we are. When we get here, and we have all of our game plan, and this is I'm on the right side, is what we say. I'm on the right side. Forgetfulness and judgment comes crashing in, and then we play those out in the human emotions. Hmm. Edgar would talk in his material about reincarnation. What would it be like for someone who could remember all of their lives? How devastating would that be? See, everybody wants to talk horribly about the forgetfulness because we are supposed to remember who we are. So we can remember that we're merely humans experiencing a spiritual experience. We're in these beautiful bodies of form because we chose to be in these beautiful bodies of form. And enticement of, ooh, spiritual experience here on earth. Awesome. Awesome. But we forget that. We flip it. We flip it for some reason. So what? I don't, that I never understood when people would say that. So we can justify all the things that have happened. They're gonna happen. It's a part of the, it is. It is. Things happen. Everything happens. It is. Past, present, and future. It is. You're part of the oneness of the consciousness of the grand creator consciousness, all of it that flows. It is. Things happen. So, Edgar would talk about what if you could remember all of it, everything you've done in every life. Most people would not be able to handle it because most people were always bad throughout a lot of time. And this goes back to the Edgar Casey video number 57 prior talking about the Atlanteans. None of us have a clean record. Let's put it that way. None of us have a complete clear record. And it could be for multiple, multiple different reasons, excuses, what have you, karma, dogmas, war. It doesn't matter. Nobody's got a clean record. None of us do. We've been here too long. So what if you did remember all that? All the horrible things that you, your soul, your soul, attached to your subconscious consciousness within this body of form and other bodies of form, that energy being that leaves here, goes and tells itself a story to then come back down here to try to live that story out. That that guy, that being. What if they remembered everything that they did? There's not a pure soul here after this long. How would they handle it? So that's why Edgar would say we have to have the forgetfulness. We can't remember that stuff because we wouldn't arrive and develop and try to be a different productive human, to try to do differently. We would be shocked into our own submission of judging ourselves that we would not be able to handle anything. Hmm. Hmm. Okay. And at the same token, we all say, remember who you are. So interesting in the worlds of duality and polarity. So interesting. So I'm going to leave it again at this. There's a big difference between practicing discernment than allowing judgment to continue in all that we do. Compassion for self and others. Non-duality. There is no right or wrong. Non-duality. And therefore there is no truth to be seeking. It is. Even if we can't remember all of our lives, that I can guarantee you some gruesome stuff has happened. Even if we can't remember, we can make choices today. And the choices we make today change a whole lot of energy. And it can be that we choose in love or we choose in fear. It can be that we allow judgment that we hear, see, experience, dole out ourself to ourself and others. Judgment to self, judgment to others, judgment to the divine. All of that. We can lay it down and replace it with discernment, practicing compassion for self and others as we very humbly say, I am a human experiencing a spiritual existence. A human. Ain't it grand to be a human? Ain't it grand to be here? Ain't it grand to know that you came with an original purpose that is still the original purpose, hasn't gone away? And many of those listening to this channel, it was to come help. It was to come help. In this beautiful body of form called human, in this lovely place called Earth, I am a human living a spiritual existence. I am a human living a spiritual awareness. I am a human living a spiritual consciousness. I am a human living a spiritual existence, experience. I am. I am present. I say, let's try that. Let's try that. Let's just move some words around, right? Because that's what I'm doing. I experience all of my beautiful spiritual self and all the beautiful spiritual experiences that some call superpowers, that some call masters, that some call all sorts of things. I just call it, it is. It is. I am presence. Beloved people, this is the end of all these series of the third dimensional consciousness and or the power of healing and love. Either playlist will kind of set you in a good way. A lot was covered always in the levels of consciousness chart. There's a link to a few different episodes below that explain things. And definitely please catch us tomorrow night here for Esoteric Tea at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with Lucky Stone 888. We will be talking about manifesting. Are you manifesting a difficult life? Hmm. Are you a spiritual being living a human experience and it's just so damn difficult? What are you manifesting? Or are you a human experiencing a spiritual existence? All right, beloveds, I love you. Have a great weekend. Enjoy your day. Hopefully the sun will come out and you can get some sun on your face and keep on shining stars because you are magnificent. Discernment over judgment will get you there, folks. Bye, everybody. Cheers.